name is Beck and welcome to my February TBR. These are the books that I obviously want to read this month, but I didn't get to all of my books from last month, so this is going to be a list of everything that I'm excited about immediately picking up, but it might not be a list of books that I actually get to entirely. I will not let these slip off my radar, so let's get into the first pick of this month. And that is Red, White and Royal Blue. I'm usually a fantasy and sci-fi reader, if you hadn't already gathered. This is really outside my wheelhouse. However, I've had recommendations from friends and I'm anticipating that I'm going to love this. I know it's a royal romance. It is about a male-male love interest and it's also got great banter, and that is all I know. And it's all I need to know. When I go into a romance, I expect to be entertained and I expect it to be emotionally endearing, and that's what I'm hoping this delivers to me. So high hopes for this one, wish me luck, and I will be reading it in February because it kind of aligns with Valentine's Day and the romanciness of that month. So hopefully I get to this as soon as I can. And then next is a segment of series that I would like to continue, and that is The Great Hunt. I was supposed to get to this in January. I don't know at this stage if I will have gotten to this because I'm filming this video at the end of January. I'm assuming not because I've started a few other things. So The Great Hunt is one that obviously I want to start at the start of the year, and that's still very much my aim. So The Great Hunt is the second book in the Wheel of Time series. It's a massive saga of like 14 or 15 books. All of them are quite long and I am very much invested in continuing this series. It does have a chosen one narrative in the first book and it has that journey and that quest trope, but it also does magnificent world building and character building as well with a larger cast. So if you are into fantasy, I think you would like The Wheel of Time, even though it does seem off-putting or intimidating because of its size. I know that's why I was intimidated by it for a while, but I'm really happy that I picked up the first book because they are all tropes that we are very familiar with if you read a lot of fantasy, and that made it really palatable. So that's why I want to read more of it, because the writing is really easy to get into, and I'm hoping that I can give this a 5 stars, but we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Will that book end up appearing on a bunch of TBR videos? Maybe, but I'm hoping that this is the only one that it recurs on. We'll see. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I have high hopes regardless. Next up is another series that I want to continue. However, it's a reread, so if I don't get to this immediately, it's not a huge drama because I have read it before, and that is Royal Assassin, and this is the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is her first trilogy, so I want to tackle this one and then jump into her live ship books, which are her second trilogy. You can read them one or the other first, as long as you start with these two and then continue on after both of them to her other books. Anyway, long-winded explanation over. Fantasy book, adult, follows a character that I really enjoy. A magic system involves skill and wit, which are telepathic magic, one for people and one for animals. And so there's a character in here that I know comes in this book, not the first book. And I am really loving revisiting my memories reading the first book again. I'm getting so emotional, and so I'm anticipating, because Assassin's Apprentice is very short, it's like 300 and something pages, so for a fantasy it's quite small. I'm hoping I can get to that in January because I'm currently reading it as I film this, and then after that I'll jump into this one, which is a little bit longer, but that's okay because I am loving revisiting these books. Robin Hobb is one of my favorite authors ever, and I adore her writing style and I adore her characters. You would not expect her characters that she starts out books with to absolutely grow on you, but they just manage to, and I have no idea how she does it every single time. She's so intentional and descriptive and I love it. So I am really thoroughly enjoying myself, if you couldn't tell by my enthusiasm, so I'm looking forward to getting to this one as well. And then of course we have Calibans War, which is the second book in the Expanse series. This is a sci-fi series. It's also quite a thick book, but the first book follows Jim Holden and Detective Miller and also a girl named Julie, who the book opens up with. So Julie is a hostage. We don't know why, we don't know where, we don't know how she got into this situation or if she survived it, because the story cuts off before her chapters really give that conclusion to you. And then we jump into Jim Holden's perspective, and he is a freight miner for ice, and so he brings the ice and water to different planets because people in this series have colonized the solar system. So he and his crew discover something that is politically charged and quite a risk, and he does some things that cause a lot of attention and a lot of drama, and so he does that just because he's an idealist. And then also Detective Miller has a tangential storyline that involves the investigation and the potential kidnapping of this girl named Julie, and that's who we started reading the book about. So there are a few different storylines happening here. It is a very expansive series because it is about a obviously galactic scale war that is potentially on the rise, because it's got a very politically charged built world around our characters. Anyway, it's got amazing world building, awesome characters, awesome banter, very unique and charismatic writing. And if you want a series that encapsulates the snarkiness of Dresden and you also want something science fiction that has the same world building as an epic fantasy, then you want to read The Expanse, because I'm loving this so far. Well, I've loved the first book, I've got a review for it, and I'm anticipating that I'm going to love this as well. I'm so excited about all of the books on this list. I said that in my book haul. Everything that I want to read I've acquired this year because I got my TBR to 0, and now I'm just going ham on putting books on my TBR because I'm excited about all of them pretty much equally, and I can't choose between them. So wish me luck, because I'm gonna need it, because these are a lot of awesome choices for me to make. And then next I also have a Dresden book, because I'm currently reading that series. At this stage I don't know what book I'm going to be up to. I am currently reading Small Favor on audiobook, and so I anticipate I'm going to continue the series on audiobook. It's what I've been doing so far. After Small Favor, I'm not sure what comes next, but I'll put the cover on the screen on either side, I'm not sure, and that is what I'm going to continue with. I also have Forks by Nadine Brands, and that is a historical fiction fantasy book, and I think it involves a heist, and that's all I know about it. And then I've also got 2 new releases that I want to talk about. One of them might be an audiobook, even though I have pre-ordered the physical book, and that is The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. I love Becky Chambers. She's one of my favorite sci-fi authors, or authors in general. And so she has the 4th book in her Wayfarers series coming out in February. And I think it's coming out mid-February, so around the 18th. So I'm not going to get to this obviously straight away because it doesn't come out straight away, but it is on my list because I want to prioritize it. And so hopefully I can finish the Dresden book I'm currently reading, and then I'm going to get in another audiobook just before I start it, and then I'll start The Galaxy and the Ground Within. I'm so excited. I know it involves a space station and a bunch of people that potentially get stuck there, but Becky Chambers does this cozy sci-fi vibe where she very much explores the history of humanity, existentialism, and the human condition, and also queer spaces. And I love the way that she is very delicate and deliberate in those spaces. She has a very fine touch, and I love it. So super excited for The Galaxy and the Ground Within. It is one of my most anticipated releases of this entire year. And then my last book on this list is A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. I haven't read a synopsis of this, and so I can't tell you what it's about yet, but I know it's a novella or it's the first in the series. One of those two, maybe both. In the past, Sylvain Neuvel has written the Themis Files, so the first book in that is Sleeping Giants, and he's also written a novella as well. So everything that I've read by him I've really loved, and so that's why naturally this new release of his is on my list. I do believe it is part of a series, but either way I'm looking forward to it because I don't mind starting new series, and so I think I'm being spoiled a bit in February. I'm very excited. So that brings me to the end of this TBR list. Let me know if you're reading long books like me, or if you have just so many books that you're excited about too. I would love to hear you talk about them, but I will chat to you down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.